Hello, everyone, and welcome to the pandemic edition of Recipe Redemption. I am hopefully on the uphill swing of this. I've already gotten past the fever, most of the coughing. Of course, it prompts me to cough. Right now, it's a little bit of a sinus infection, which is why I'm still kind of low energy. I still have the cough, I have the nasal drainage. So, since I'm stuck in the house, I figured I would do some recording. And gives me an opportunity to drink more coffee. I'm drinking this black, and there's a very good reason for that. Because today I'm comparing my regular coffee with this. This is drinking cacao. I'm being very careful to say cacao and not cocoa. This is very distinct from cocoa. So, normally, chocolate goes through a multi-stage process to become the products that we all know and love. The mature pods of the cacao are picked by hand, laboriously, split open, and all of the seeds on the inside, which is what we actually think of as the cocoa nibs, all those seeds are pulled out, allowed to sun dry. They're spread out and sun and air dried, and they separate all the pulp out from the seeds themselves. Then the seeds are roasted, and then they go through a process where they go through a press, and the big roller press that squeezes out all the cocoa butter, and then you have this cake of roasted, crushed cocoa beans that then get milled further and become what is essentially cocoa powder. And then to make chocolate, you add a whole bunch of other stuff. Soy lecithin, sugar, milk if you're making milk chocolate. Go through more rollers, more chemical treatment, or more ingredients, I should say, to make chocolate. Making cocoa powder, you pretty much stop with just grinding the beans up. However, they tend to be very bitter. And, to a certain extent, no amount of sugar is going to remove that bitterness. It's just going to try and cover it up. So what you can do with cocoa is put it through another process where you treat it with an alkali solution. And I think the Dutch came up with this process, which is why they call it Dutch process cocoa. And it makes for a much mellower cocoa powder once you're all done with it. Now, this stuff stops several steps ahead of that. You basically treat it just like coffee beans. You still dry them out, which you end up having a slight amount of fermentation in the process. But you dry them out, you roast them, you grind them, and then in this case, you treat them just like coffee. Now this happened to be ground, even though it's French roast, so it was ground, or it was roasted dark, just like coffee. But you'll note that it's actually a little bit coarser grind than my regular coffee. Excuse me. That's okay. Ooh. And it's very, very chocolatey smelling. So, let's just remind ourselves what the coffee tastes like. Black coffee. Dark, always, that bitterness, a slight astringency, but not too bad. And just as a note, yes, I am sick. My sense of smell and taste is muted, but hasn't gone away like some sufferers of this disease have. So here we have a cup of the brewed cacao. It's not as, obviously not as strong a chocolatey aroma as just the straight bean or crushed nibs, I guess. But it is there. It's very chocolatey in smell. And it is there in the flavor, but it's very, very, very light. It's definitely not as bitter as the coffee. Okay. Now, why would you drink this? It's about it. This bag ended up being about the same. How much is this? 10 ounces. So it's not quite the 1 pound bag of coffee that I usually get, but for this 10-ounce bag, it was about the same price as I typically pay for a 1 pound bag of coffee. So call it pound for pound about 50% more expensive. It's got this a very light flavor. It's very tea-like. In the pot, I can't really show you, but in the pot, it's more see-through. It's not as dark as the coffee that preceded it. There are some, I won't say tropical, but sort of floral notes in the background, but the chocolate is the predominant flavor. It's not sweet. I haven't sweetened it or anything, but it tastes sweeter than if you were to just eat straight cocoa nibs, because trust me, those are bitter as heck. Now, getting back to my original question, why would you want to drink this? Supposedly, the cacao is packed with nutrients. It's got magnesium, which you do need some in your diet. It is supposedly 99.9% caffeine free. So if you want that morning cup of hot beverage without the caffeine boost, I personally don't understand that, but you do you. That is there. However, it does include theobromine, which is a naturally occurring stimulant that is found in cacao that some people say is a milder but longer lasting boost than what you get from caffeine. So you get more of a level of energy rather than a spike and then a crash like you get with caffeine. It's pleasant enough. I don't know that I'll be making this a regular part of my morning routine. I suppose if I hit a point where I don't want the caffeine in my diet anymore, this could be an alternative. I don't like decaf coffee, so that is one thing. Because decaf coffee, a lot of times what ends up happening, up until very, very recently, decaf coffee is just regular coffee that they've sort of already brewed. They've kind of already rinsed it with some water, treated it to basically rinse away the caffeine. But in the process, it also rinses away at least some of the flavor. So the decaf coffee is not as good as the caffeinated version, starting with the same beans. So because you've actually taken away some of what you're drinking the coffee for, which is the coffee flavor, in addition to the caffeine that is actually, for me, almost a medical necessity, I can't get behind it. However, this, if I wanted a caffeine-free alternative, you could do worse. I am actually kind of curious to see what this tastes like if I were to actually add milk and sugar, just like you would a cup of coffee. So here we go with some sugar and cream. Yeah, like really watery cocoa. The only difference is with real cocoa, real honest to goodness cocoa, you have all those cocoa solids, and some of them are soluble, um, but you kind of haven't allowed them to dissolve because they're sort of bound to all of the insoluble stuff that's stuck in your coffee filter. So if you were to actually take this, put it into, your coffee grinder or whatever, and grind it up really, really fine, a really, really fine powder, you'd essentially have cocoa. I'm kind of on the fence as to whether or not that would actually be better than this, because this, you're only getting the water soluble or the easily water soluble stuff out of the grounds. And there's probably a lot of actual nutrients that are left in the grounds that wouldn't be half bad having, in you. So now that I think about it, I think I would actually prefer cocoa. To just get a really good quality cocoa, like I'm sure this is. This is perfectly good quality cacao, but get the good quality cocoa and make cocoa, and then you may actually get some of the health benefits of the chocolate more than just what you've got in this mug. It's not bad. I will stress that it's not bad. I don't know if it's as good as it could be. So on that bombshell, I hope everyone out there stays healthy, stays safe, doesn't get this either. I'm still on the fence as to whether my COVID beard is going to stay or if I'm going to shave it once I get the energy. But hoping everyone is well, and keep trying new stuff. And I'll see you next time here on Recipe Redemption. Thanks for watching.